Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for dropping in. You have reached Positive Vibes with Aeriol, healing body, mind, and soul. I'm your host, Aeriol Ascher, and today I have the honor and privilege to be with Tracy Rickard, who is going to talk to us today a little bit about her work and what she does to assist people with the evolution of their soul. So nice to have you here with us today, Tracy. Thanks for taking time out from your schedule to have a chat with us.
I'm so honored to be with you, Aeriol, and I can't wait to just start diving into some juicy conversation about soul work.
I know, what could be better, right? I mean, there's nothing better than that. We had a conversation previous to this. Sometimes I get guests that I haven't talked to at all, but we had a conversation previous to this, and I thought we had an awful lot in common, so we could really take this anywhere. But what I would like to start with, I think you've been in business. Your business is Tracy Total Wellness, or Tracy's Total Wellness, and you've been in business for about 10 years. Would you like to tell us what got you started on your journey of helping other people to unfold their own spirituality and their own soul work?
Yeah, I started out actually I think we were talking about this when you and I connected, as a theater major. I loved to just be expressive. I love to entertain people. And I so enjoyed the conversations I would have with people after like shows, and like, oh, you just moved me.
Mm.
And I had some specific experiences come up for me because of that. And through the work that I did in theater, that was the intention I went into with theater, and I got that experience. But I knew there was like something more. Like it wasn't that trajectory for me. And in the training in theater, I got fascinated with like the human body. I had to take all these voice classes, and I had to take all these movement classes. And the human body just really fascinated me on everything that this vessel does for us on a daily basis. It's pretty profound. And being like a sleep deprived college student, I had to be grateful for my body sometimes as well. And so instead of actually going to grad school for theater, I decided to go to massage school. And I kind of began more of my spiritual journey, was exploring the more healing modalities. And massage school led to yoga teacher training. And yoga teacher training led to health coaching certification. Health coaching led to life coaching. I think each experience that I got helped to show like what was that next level that I really wanted to dive deeper in. And I always added up to that experience for me, I guess, was grad school and my PhD, because it's been years and years and years of learning. But I love exploring how this vessel called our body also interacts with this thing called our mind, that also has conversations with this thing called our soul, and how they all really do work together. And when we're in harmony, things flow. When something's out, things ain't working too great. And so I I just started just adding on to the experience. And as I was learning, new things started to reveal themselves to me with the work I myself had to do. A lot of times we do the work, we sometimes need the most ourselves. I ended up having to go on my own like healing journey. So after I went through all of my trainings, I myself actually got very ill. And I was being labeled and thrown on medications and told this is what I need to do. And I kind of lost my identity in the process of struggling with illness that was a physical and a mental illness. And just the people I was going to weren't really listening to me. And in that process of not feeling well and kind of being vulnerable with these people, I lost my identity, and I just got labeled with specific things, got put on meds, and it actually made me worse, not better. And so I kind of came out of how other people call the dark night of the soul. I had my dark night of the soul, and I just realized, no, I think that part of me that had been not being heard for so long, like enough is enough. You deserve to go to people that listen to what you have to say. And so I put a stop to everything. I ended up having to quit my job. I physically couldn't handle it anymore. I had to move back in with my parents. So that was fun after I had to move out.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, but they were there to support me, and I got the healing that I needed. And I finally knew why I had gotten all that training. I got all that training because now I know I have the structure and the knowledge behind me to really hold the space and listen. And so if you want to simplify it, people pay me to listen.
Yeah, pretty plain and simple. We have similar, when I was, my undergraduate work is in theater arts. Of course, my graduate work was in philosophy and consciousness. And then actually in between there, I became a massage therapist and went into somatic healing, the same thing. But we have similar backgrounds. I would love to hear if somebody is curious about what you're talking about. I would love to hear what kinds of people or what kinds of not what kinds of people, but more what kinds of problems do you solve for people if they're wanting to get some help? Like what kinds of things would you be helping clients with?
Yes. Well, so I work primarily with women. I got a lot of certification and training in work with women, hormone health coaching, balancing for women, as well as like trauma recovery for women. I myself am just excited for the time we're in. I'm not scared for the time we're in right now because I think like feminine energy is rising, everybody, and let's get on the ride. It's great. And women are really stepping up in more powerful roles and doing deeper change work. So I work primarily with women. And I work with women that are highly sensitive. Maybe some of you out there know what a highly sensitive person is. Our senses are just kind of a little bit dialed up in specific ways. Empaths.
I've met a few in my time. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
People that know they have a strong intuition. Or I like to say people that know that they have some gift that hasn't been presented to them yet. So they know that they're either a powerful healer in some way and they have no idea what that is yet, but they feel like their gift is going to be revealed to them. I've had people that I've worked with that through our work together have found out they're a medium. Their medium gifts have come to them. I've had people that I've worked with that finally realized they wanted to quit their corporate job and became a yoga teacher. It's powerful work when somebody can align with, I like to call it their soul's purpose.
Yeah, I don't always think that I'm going to step in here and say, yeah, I don't actually think that your soul's purpose is always your vocation. Right.
Yeah.
I don't, I have a lot of people who may be excited to quit their jobs and to go become a yoga teacher, but, as somebody I've been a healing entrepreneur for the past 30 years, doctorate in metaphysics and so on and so forth. I mean, you have to be a business person. You have to run it like a business. So sometimes sometimes these things, I have a lot of clients that get frustrated when they're like, I thought that if I just chose the right thing, it would all be roses for me, but that's not the case. You still have to do your business.
Oh, so, of course. I actually work with a lot of women that they have their own business and they want to support their community or their families with these gifts that their soul is calling them to support them with. It's just wonderful to see. I guess the easiest way to put it is I like to see people's flowers blossom. It's the easiest way to put it for me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And at the stuff that's happening right now, there's a lot of us old timers who've been ushering in the divine feminine for the past 30 years, right? And it's like, okay, let's get on with it already, all right? All right already. Yeah. I love the balance that's taking place. I just don't think it's all about that, because I think that we have to come into a balanced place instead of just rushing all the feminine energy in and everything. We do need to balance stuff out. It's all very
Mhm.
Atlantean, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's all very Atlantean. It's okay. Do not be alarmed. This has all happened before. Now, I love in your description, I know you have a theater background, and I know that you are on a spiritual journey, and I just wanted to, because it's noteworthy. I love what you wrote in your little application for the podcast, that you were part Lucille Ball and part Dali Lama, which, you're not going to believe this, is exactly how some of my clients used to describe me back in the day. Yes, and especially when I was doing a lot of performing, I did a lot of Lucille Ball inspired sketches and everything, and I just found it so amusing that you use that exact cross fusion, which I thought, what are the odds of finding somebody else that uses that cross fusion? I love it. So I'm just telling you that because I just want to beam love and adoration at you. I love what you're up to, and I love that fusion that you're that you're coming forward as. So we talked a little bit about what kind of clients, these highly sensitive women, empaths. As a young, when I was in, if we go back in time to the Stone Age, when I was in my 20s and coming through college, I remember I always felt very clear since the time I was a teenager that I was an intuitive medium, and that I was definitely highly sensitive, and there was no one that you could really go to and talk to about these things. You talk about going to medical practitioners, or looking into the mental health aspect of things. And isn't it kind of cool now? I see everybody sort of popping off. Everybody's awakening sort of happen organically right now, instead of
Yes.
yeah, and it's kind of more mainstream. I mean, people are allowed to call themselves empaths and mediums and psychics and things these days. I think it's kind of interesting. And also healer. Like, I couldn't even call myself a healer, even though I knew I was a healer for the past 30 years. But we were forbidden by law to call ourselves healers because we weren't in the medical profession. So when all of this started happening and people started going, oh, I'm this healer and I'm a healer of this, and I do that, it was really makes me wary, because my background and instinct in that is like, let's find any other word but that, right, to make it okay, because we used to it used to even be a very well-advised career path, as massage therapists, that we would go and become ordained ministers in order to be able to legally put our hands on people. And as either Reiki practitioners, like energy healing practitioners,
Yes.
any hands-on kind of practitioner would go and become ordained ministers. And then all this other weird phenomenon would happen, that all of a sudden, once they became ordained, like, they believed it, right? And that, which I think is great, right? It's kind of interesting, but it's kind of that evolution. And to watch that, what used to take a practitioner, like I would watch practitioners that I worked with over 10 years, like now people, like, in like 10 minutes are making this revelation and making the connection between all these things, like you're talking about. Like, you do have a soul, you have a purpose, it's different than your consciousness, and it's different than your somatic, your body. So it's really interesting to watch how quickly everybody is waking up, and how quickly all the neurons are firing and all the connections are being
Yes.
made. It's super exciting. Fast times. Have you noticed that time speeds up and slows down at the same time? Is that
Yes.
happening in your world, Tracy, or is that
Yes.
just me?
I was talking about that last year. I actually did a free challenge for highly sensitive people during the height of the pandemic, because I
Mm,
thought people, I was just noticing we were all being given experiences, or we were being exposed to things differently. We were all on video more than we had ever been before. The news just had a whole different energy to it. There was all this, and I was like, you know what, I'm an HSP, I'm feeling it differently, everybody else must be feeling it differently. And so in the middle of the challenge, we had there was one of the parts where I was just in conversation with people about it, and I said, do all of you feel like time is like super fast right now and super slow at the same time? And I was like, yes, like things feel like sometimes days feel like they're like days last weeks, and then sometimes I don't know where the week went.
And weeks are like a minute and a half, right? How can that happen?
Yeah, so really I'm great. Definitely tapping into that, and I finally like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm experiencing this, and I just wait for that message that I need to kind of give me the declaration I'm looking for, or just that knowing. And I was listening to an astrological podcast, and she's like, hey, by the way, everybody, we're in the age of Aquarius. Planets are moving a lot faster now. Are you feeling like things are moving really fast? Change is happening quicker. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all I needed.
Yes. I know. Now we are smack dab in. Oh no, we have a visitor on the podcast. He's always wanted to come and say hi. This is Ziggy. He's always making it's better than having him bark on the podcast. If I actually introduce him on the podcast, then he gets happy. He's great. So sorry about that. Didn't mean to photobomb your interview, your podcast. He's obviously interested.
Thanks, Ziggy.
Ziggy is a big fan, Tracy. I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying here, and I agree. And we're not just singing about the age of Aquarius anymore. We're actually right smack dab in it, right? And it's really exciting. What I love is all these leaders that have come forth, like Tracy and like myself and some of the other guests we have here on Healing Body, Mind, and Soul podcast, that are just they're awakened, they're loud and proud, they're out in front, they're leading people. I think, Tracy, you have a nice community of women, and you're doing some moon circles and things. Can you talk about those a little for the folks in case they might like to get involved?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you, Aeriol. I facilitate many different experiences for women in group format. And one of the ways that I do it actually every month, we join together for a network. It's called a networking circle, but it's really heart-based women that come together. It's called Wise Working Women, and we align what's called our chakras of business. What would be possible if we looked at our business from the standpoint of energy? And we explore how our business feels. And we go through different themes every month. It's a virtual circle where women can truly come together to honor themselves and honor the important work they're doing. I like to say, help them to generate that legacy. But I don't only just work with women business owners. I work with just women that are ready to elevate the planet in their own ways. And that could just be in their community or with their family. And so every change of season, we also join together for virtual retreats. We just had my retreat just recently. It was truly transformational. And we come together in virtual circle, as I call it. And then when I'm feeling called or spirit's calling me, I'm like, I need my sisterhood. We'll come together on moons. We're going to come together on 11/11 for a magical manifestation event. We come together in circle. I find circle to be a really wonderful way for community to harness the change that we want to make. And when we can all come together, we're at an elevated vibration. You know this, working the way you're working, this intention of, wanting to do good work, whether it's personally or professionally, and elevating the energy of the planet. That's a lot of work to do on your own. And when you could come together with amazing people and start to feel connected to those people, as I like to say, it's community medicine. It is medicine really for your heart. It's medicine for the soul's work that you do want to do. So those are two of the experiences that I run consistently every month. Wise Working Women. It's usually it's the first Thursday of every month, and we're in virtual circle. And then once we hit every change of season, there's always a retreat, and that generally falls on a weekend to honor the solstices and the equinoxes, and then a few fun moon circles scattered throughout the year.
I just got reminded of, when Facebook first started. I think Facebook started in like 2008 or 2009. I'm not sure what year. But I recognized right away, being the thespian that I am and knowing about production and how things, I'm like, oh, this is great because you can talk to your audience, right? So I think I did like something like 6 years of new moon circles consistently I stopped doing that a long time ago because I couldn't put forth the energy of doing it every year and not being paid, because I had to take care of my clients and take care of my things. But I just love, I was an early responder on Facebook and social media, and also just really embracing the power of video and virtual gathering. When I did have my in-person healing center, I also had a psychic phone line with coaches and psychic practitioners to serve people in every time zone. It was so wonderful. So that went on for a little while. And I thought that more people would panic less when we had this big pivot with the shutdown, because it seemed like I was like, well, it seems obvious to me that we'll just start doing things over these virtual things, but it was I'm glad you're enjoying these times. I'm enjoying these times, but I was watching other people not enjoying these times and just going, oh yeah, well, it's okay. We just have to sort of migrate to this online format. But when I was talking to you before, and even what you're talking about, your beautiful retreats and everything, the power is still palpable in video. You can still,
yeah.
and in some ways, as an empath, I will say that it's even more powerful. It takes a lot more energy for me to be leading groups on Zoom all day than an in-person event, believe it or not. Just because of the energy that's coming at you, and the way that you are filtering is different. You don't have control over psychic filtering the way that you do in real life. So different skill set. Ziggy's got to get out of the picture. I've got to get him out of our picture here. Sorry about that, our little visitor. But different skill sets, I guess. But I think it's so exciting because we can really come together globally. Right?
Yes, that's the amazing part, is I have women all over the country and sometimes all over the world that are joining together. And I always begin my meditations, we start with an intention in every event that I run. I think having an intention is powerful. And I say in the beginning, like, feel yourself in your own sacred space, like where you are, the container you're in, but then tap into the collective sacred community you're in. And it's powerful that we are here in our own physical space. We have that, but then the cool thing is now we get to harness this collective power of the virtual community we're in during these events.
It's really kind of eighth dimensional. It's really kind of it's eighth dimensional. If you can get through, I think I've got that. I think I'm counting that right. But the way that it is reflected, the way the reality and consciousness is reflected back, I think it's like seventh or eighth dimensional. Because I think in our own space, we're like sort of seventh dimensional beings, really. I mean, some people are talking about being fifth dimensional beings, but that's like old school. We were talking about that 30 years ago. Now it's like, it really is more like seventh dimension, seven directions, and the seventh, of course, being inward. Right? Mm-hmm. Nobody likes that one. That's probably like the one they're like, oh, we don't want to go there. But I think that people like Tracy and some of our other guests here on Healing Body, Mind, and Soul will probably tell you that that is the exact key to where you need to go. That's where the keys of the kingdom, that's where the keys of the kingdom are kept. I'm sure that Tracy will agree with that.
Well, there's been some people call them HSB moments, holy moly moments. HSB is holy balls, or the oh no, I'm not going there moments. And when people feel safe enough and they're vulnerable enough to go there, it's profound what can happen. It is truly
Yeah.
profound.
It is. I think we're people just aren't used to being that exposed, right? People just aren't used to being that exposed. Do you have any super tips for any of our guests that are leaning in and going, this is all very interesting, but what can I do right now, today? Ouch. Something is wrong. There's a rift in the universe. What can I do, Tracy?
Well, my one recommendation is there is a lot of power in what I call mini ritual.
Mm.
We don't have, yes, it's amazing to go to these day retreats or to go on a nice long walk in nature. But we can also, something profound could happen is in the morning, we step outside, we close our eyes and feel the sun on our face, and we just take 3 deep breaths. When we're starting to feel triggered by something, instead of doing what we're going to do, we step away and we go splash some water on our face and, take some moment in the shower, whatever it is. Something as simple as, getting essential oil out and smelling the aroma, or just shaking out the tension of the day and stepping up from the desk. Something truly profound can happen in a mini ritual, because on many different levels, from our physical body, the blood starts pumping differently, to our nervous system can get reset, to we finally are listening with a different part of our brain. We're listening with a more powerful part of our brain than our fear-based brain. It's powerful things can occur just with a mini ritual. So don't think that change has to be this epic novel or this intensive experience like these big budget
cinematic soundtrack, right?
True power can also happen in those little moments where you choose to pivot. You choose self. And that doesn't require also a ton of time or a ton of money as well. Standing out, the sun's there, it's free. We got to take better care of our planet so we can have the sun there.
Yeah, of course well, there's that. Tracy, we can only solve one problem at a time. Don't go there.
There's things that are always there. Maybe it's looking at your child who brings you joy and asking them for a hug. It a lot of times doesn't have to require a ton. Now, it's important once you kind of know where you want to go, there's a structure to making your, the dreams you have or goals you want to actually manifest for you. But on day-to-day life, it's how can you just get present and choose self and joy? And mini ritual can really help you do that.
I love that. Mini ritual to raise your awareness, your self-awareness, to bring yourself back to the present moment. That's wonderful, Tracy. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So if people are like, wow, I love Tracy, where can I get more? Because I know you want to, everybody. Where can they find you, Tracy? Where can they reach out to you?
Yes, and as Aeriol said, I am a Lucille Lama in the flesh. So every experience that you'll see with me, there's the sacredness of the Dali Lama. I hold sacred, safe space, as well as life's too short to not have fun and be fiery and feisty and fully self-expressive. So the best way to, find this experience is on my website, tracystotalwellness.com, and that's Tracy and S is in Sam, so tracystotalwellness.com. It can also then link you up to all my social media. I'm a lot on Instagram and Facebook. I run Wellness Wednesday videos, which have a little bit of Lucille Ball in them. Hello, friends. Okay. You'll see that. And they're on the Facebook. I have amazing other experiences on Instagram. So those are kind of the two social platforms that I'm on. But you go to my website and it'll really funnel you to the space that feels the most aligned for you and how I can help empower you in that space.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I love the Lucy Lama. One of my best sketches that used to come back and back when I was performing a lot when I back in the day. This is probably in the late '90s, early 2000s. But I did a rip off of Lucille Ball's Lucille Ball's. You know the we called them Toledo bourbon balls, right? And it was the candy making one. I don't know if you
Oh
ever saw
yeah.
that sketch with the candy making one. Yeah,
Eat it up.
I had a great sketch with Toledo bourbon balls, and I was going out in the audience and kissing everybody with my big freaking chocolate face and everything, and really just causing just general disruption
I love
in a very good hearted way. That was. But you just made me think of that. Thank you for flashing me back to my Lucille Ball days. I really appreciate that.
I call her sometimes my antidepressant.
Yes, yes, yes. She's just one. Well, I grew up with that. That would come on the television. The old black and whites would come on the television. I mean, they were reruns and stuff then, but just iconic. And I
Oh
love
yeah.
that you have embraced your own inner Lucy. That makes me smile, and I'm just so happy so happy that you came on today. And so it's so nice to meet other practitioners who are doing such good work in the world. Tracy, thank you so much for shining your light.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, I guess it's time for me to stop being mushy and to go ahead and wrap this up. You know, I would love to stay here and talk with Tracy all day long, but you do have her a website now. You can reach out to her there. And is there any, and remember her super tip. I love this super tip about, I'm sorry, I'm just distracted on my screen here for a second. Remember her super tips about the mini ritual. I love that. No moment is too small to make it sacred and to make it a beautiful ritual. So let's thank Tracy for that beautiful tip. Okay, everybody, time to sign off. This is Aeriol, and until next time, do what makes your heart sing.